This girl goes to a boxing gym. The moment she posed, she was kicked aside. The guy behind her took the opportunity to produce milk.
Oh, how cute. A cup?
But despite her cute and charming looks, she wasn't one to be pushed around. She fought back. However, this wasn't just any boxing gym. It was a training ground for assassins. As the only girl there, the men dumped all the chores on her. But she refused to back down. She didn't come here just to toughen up. She was driven by a deeper reason, to become strong enough to avenge her father. The story begins with Yoon Ji-woo preparing for the day. She wakes up early and puts on her headphones. She then starts working out in her room. Meanwhile, a sergeant named Cho is parked outside her apartment in his car. He follows her as she heads to school. Yoon Ji-woo faces constant bullying from her classmates. Much of it is because her dad is a junkie.
Her junkie dad is probably dead somewhere, huh?
Later that day, Yoon Ji-woo is told she is being transferred to another school. The reason given is that she makes the other students feel uncomfortable.
Do you want to keep making people uncomfortable, G?
To make matters worse, it is also her 17th birthday. This is far from the birthday gift she expected. However, Yoon Ji-woo finds a way to get back at her tormentors. She takes down the bullies who have been harassing her for so long in a spectacular fight. She heads home afterward. Her father, Dong-hoon, calls and tells her that he can't make it. This is the last straw for Yoon Ji-woo. She tells him not to come back, calling him useless. Despite her words, he does return. Outside the front door, a gunshot rings out. Dong-hoon collapses, blood staining the ground. In his final act of courage, he pulls his daughter inside to protect her before he dies.
Papa, wake up! Please wake up!
Yoon Ji-woo attends her father's funeral. Many of Dong-hoon's gangster friends also show up. Among them is Moojin, the leader of the operation. He tells Yoon Ji-woo that her father was a loyal man and a good soldier. However, he doesn't say who killed him. Worse still, Sergeant Cho and the other detectives drop the investigation into his murder.
What about this asshole? You have to catch him!
Given that Dong-hoon was on the top most wanted list and had been in hiding for 3 months, it's not surprising that the case is closed. With few options left, Yoon Ji-woo turns to Dong-hoon's gangster associates. She goes to see Moojin. However, when he realizes she lacks the resolve to kill, he tells her to leave. Yoon Ji-woo isn't ready to give up. An unwanted guest shows up at her door, which pushes her to take action that night. She sets out to try and find information about her father's killer. She even offers a 5 million won reward too. Unfortunately, Yoon Ji-woo walks straight into a trap. She loses her money and finds herself tied up in the back of a car. Just when things seem hopeless, Moojin arrives and rescues her, preventing a deadly fate.
So did you catch my dad's killer?
Yoon Ji-woo is determined to get revenge. She insists that she can handle whatever comes her way. Moojin takes her to a rundown gym on the docks. There, a man named Gang-jae shows her the ropes. Gang-jae wishes her luck. He tells her that to prove herself, she'll have to do the laundry and dishes from now on. Yoon Ji-woo certainly has heart. After hours, she trains on her own. She refuses to give in, not letting her peers get the better of her. Every day, she pushes herself harder, determined to prove her strength. One day, Moojin shows up, dressed in a suit. He watches her for a moment before speaking. He encourages her not to fight to win, but to fight to kill. He tells her to focus on the vitals in a big fight. He hands her boxing gloves and steps into the ring, urging her to fight him. The sparring session eventually turns into a large group skirmish. Yoon Ji-woo is one of the last ones still standing. She faces Gang-jae, the prized fighter, as her final challenge. The fight is brutal, but Yoon Ji-woo delivers a spinning backhand jab that knocks Gang-jae out cold. When he wakes up, he is not happy. Furious, he decides to spike her drink. Gang-jae and Cheol-ho sneak down to her room. They laugh hysterically as Yoon Ji-woo struggles to stay conscious. In a burst of anger, she kicks Cheol-ho into her father's urn. She then grabs the broken china and holds it tightly, ready to defend herself. Gang-jae approaches with a hammer, but before he can do her any harm, Yoon Ji-woo stabs him in the gut. Gang-jae is eventually brought before Moojin. He is clearly disappointed with his insolence, and as punishment, Moojin slashes Gang-jae across the cheek, leaving a deep, painful gash. Seeing her difficult upbringing, Moojin decides to step in and teach Yoon Ji-woo his ways. He takes her to a restaurant where they share a meal and a drink. After Gang-jae is expelled, Moojin gives Yoon Ji-woo a new alias, Hyejin. He also hands her the gun used to kill Dong-hoon. It turns out to be a police-issued firearm. Years pass. Yoon Ji-woo becomes an important member of the organization she joined. She uses the alias Hyejin and infiltrates the police force. She quickly rises to a position in narcotics. There, she reports to Captain Cha, a man who once came looking for her after her father's death. During a brash operation, she busts in on another undercover officer, Pil-do, who is posing as a drug dealer. And that is why Pil-do doesn't like Yoon Ji-woo.
Hey! I don't want to see you again.
Hyejin meets Moojin in secret. She tells him that she believes Captain Cha is involved in her father's murder. Part of the reason Moojin is so dedicated to helping Yoon Ji-woo's plight comes from his ties with Dong-hoon. Years ago, Dong-hoon helped him out of a difficult situation and showed his loyalty to the organization. In return, Moojin is raising Yoon Ji-woo like his own daughter. Captain Cha teams up Pil-do and Yoon Ji-woo on the same case. Pil-do is not happy about it. The gang is preparing to bring a man named Mango in for questioning. Meanwhile, Captain Cha believes Moojin is about to make his move. The crime lord, however, decides to put his trust in Yoon Ji-woo. He believes in her strong desire to find her father's killer. He also knows that if things go wrong, she will need to be killed. Yoon Ji-woo can handle herself. She enters the building and takes down all the goons in the hallway by herself. She continues down the corridor and finds a large gambling operation. She grabs Mango all on her own. Pil-do catches up to her. Pil-do and Yoon Ji-woo question Mango. They are desperate to find out where the drugs are hidden. They believe Mango has the answers. Yoon Ji-woo is the one who discovers the drugs. She finds them inside an alcohol bottle behind the bar. This is enough to get Mango arrested. However, Pil-do is worried about Yoon Ji-woo's bold and reckless behavior. Through Mango, they learn about a new dealer in town. His name is Gang-jae. He has introduced a new drug to the market. With Moojin's empire under threat, Yoon Ji-woo finds herself in a difficult position. She must balance her role as a narcotics officer and her loyalty to Moojin. Yoon Ji-woo also starts to investigate her father's death. She begins to suspect that the officers on the scene, including Lieutenant Cha, may be responsible. Yoon Ji-woo is eager to solve the drug dispute. She feels the urgency of the situation. However, Pil-do quickly reminds her that patience is one of the most important virtues in the narcotics department. They have Mango in custody, but for now there is something more urgent to focus on. Captain Cha and the others are planning to capture Moojin. The operation involves 2 full narcotics teams. The officers are desperate to find and arrest Moojin, no matter what it takes. Yoon Ji-woo, though, feels her stomach tighten. She struggles with the conflicting feelings inside her. The operation begins. The officers move in on the ship. With Moojin trapped, a rogue gunshot disrupts the operation. Sparks fly in the lab as the gunshot rings out. Moojin manages to escape, and as he slips away, he shoots a knowing glance at Yoon Ji-woo. She stays silent, letting him go. Captain Cha boards the ship, and a gun is found at the crime scene. This gun is planted by Yoon Ji-woo and is the same one that was used to kill her father. It is part of her plan to test Captain Cha's reactions. She watches quietly as he picks up the weapon. Captain Cha examines the scratches on the side. He is desperate to find the truth. He learns that the shots were not fired by the beta team. It is clear that someone from his own group is involved. He checks everyone's weapons, including Yoon Ji-woo's. Her gun has a full chamber. Moojin believes that someone is leaking information. Taiju thinks it is Yoon Ji-woo. When Yoon Ji-woo returns to the office, she finds that capturing Moojin is the next step in uncovering what is happening in the town. There are schematics, pictures, and diagrams pinned on the wall. One of them is a picture of Dong-hoon. They have been after him for 4 years. For the narcotics department, it is personal, especially after the death of their youngest member. Yoon Ji-woo takes a break from the others. She calls Moojin and tells him that there is a mole inside the operation. Someone is feeding him crucial information. She also tells him about the cameras and where they are located. She reveals that she is the one who fired the shot inside the boat. Yoon Ji-woo puts herself in a dangerous position. The cameras are destroyed right away. Despite this, she remains focused. She continues to follow Captain Cha, trying to figure out if he is truly responsible. At the same time, Gang-jae arrives at the fighting gym near the docks. He brings his armed goons, who are equipped with knives and swords. They quickly overpower the recruits, leaving chaos in their wake. Taiju is the last person still standing. However, this doesn't last long. Gang-jae slashes his arm with a deep, painful cut. Soon after, Pil-do calls Yoon Ji-woo and tells her to go to Dongcheon Gym. When she arrives, she finds the place in ruins. Blood is everywhere, and Taiju is still alive, though badly injured and covered in blood. On the floor, written in blood, are the words, "I'm back." Moojin is deeply concerned about his empire. He watches footage from the massacre and orders his subordinates to ensure no one speaks or reveals anything. Meanwhile, Yoon Ji-woo leads the task force, determined to get answers. Despite her efforts, no one is talking, and the department reaches a dead end. Pil-do encourages Yoon Ji-woo to keep searching. However, he receives an urgent call that pulls him away. He joins Captain Cha to visit Taiju and the others who are mourning the deceased. Moojin is there as well. He does not react kindly to Cha's sudden arrival. The two exchange heated words.
You know you'd already be dead if you were in our world.
Moojin makes it clear that Cha will never catch him or bring him down. Afterward, Cha leaves, returning to the department. Yoon Ji-woo waits there, restless, hoping the forensic report on the gun will arrive soon. The gang manages to find a lead on Gangjae. They realize he is the one responsible for the recent chaos. Captain Cha sees this as an opportunity to go after a bigger target. He knows Mujin is preparing to strike back soon. For now, he makes the decision to release Mango. Yoon Ji-woo warns that this will lead to more lives being lost, but the operation is set to move forward regardless. Yoon Ji-woo secretly messages Mujin. She warns him that a trap has been set for him. Meanwhile, Captain Cha believes someone in Mujin's organization will betray him and join their side. With a mole already suspected within the group, the situation becomes more dangerous. Yoon Ji-woo stays on high alert. She decides to follow Cha, determined to uncover who he is meeting. On a rooftop, still wearing her motorcycle helmet, she unexpectedly runs into Pildo. They clash briefly in a tense skirmish. However, Yoon Ji-woo finds an opening to slip away. She spots the person waiting for Cha outside and is surprised to see it is Taiju. Yoon Ji-woo quickly informs her boss about what she has learned. However, her position in the narcotics department is in danger. Captain Cha suspects she is the one leaking information to the enemy. Cha, meanwhile, seems to have a plan of his own. He has Pildo investigate Yoon Ji-woo's police file. It becomes clear that Taiju was just a decoy. Cha is determined to uncover what Yoon Ji-woo is really up to. Despite this, Yoon Ji-woo stays focused on the gun. She begins to investigate its serial number. The gun does not belong to Cha. It is registered to Corporal Song Junsu, a new narcotics recruit who was killed. Later, when Yoon Ji-woo confronts Mujin about the gun, he insists they are not cop killers. He believes Cha is trying to frame them. Yoon Ji-woo keeps this in mind as the day goes on. That evening, Pildo asks her to go out for a drink. She turns him down, but it doesn't stop him from secretly following her. Pildo eventually catches up to Yoon Ji-woo. He confronts her for investigating Mango and Gangjae on her own. For now, he decides to join her. They start working together, and he questions her resolve and her connection to her father. While observing Gangjae during an operation, something unexpected happens. Gangjae suddenly turns and looks directly at them on the balcony. They quickly realize the entire situation is a trap. Moments later, a group of thugs attacks Pildo and Yoon Ji-woo. Both are overpowered and captured. Their phones are taken away, and Pildo is thrown out of a top-floor window. At the same time, several armed guards ambush Mujin. Despite being outnumbered, he manages to fight back and hold his ground. Meanwhile, it becomes clear that earlier, when Yoon Ji-woo barged into Mango's operation, Gangjae had noticed her. He has been planning this ambush to lure her into his trap all along. Gangjae stabs Yoon Ji-woo in the leg. The blade pierces deeply, and the twisting motion creates a sickening sound.
You are absolutely nothing.
This attack, however, is part of a larger plan. Gangjae uses it to lure Mujin into the open. He takes a picture of Yoon Ji-woo and sends it to him. Mujin, already injured from a stab wound to the gut, is in no condition to fight. Despite this, he drives out to meet his former subordinate. Meanwhile, both Pildo and Yoon Ji-woo are handcuffed inside a car. The car is placed in a crusher, and the situation becomes dire. With time running out, Yoon Ji-woo manages to free herself and escape. Mujin drives his car straight into the controls, stopping the crane and halting the crusher just in time. Police sirens echo in the distance as Yoon Ji-woo rescues Pildo before it's too late. Mujin takes the opportunity to slip away unnoticed. When Captain Cha and his team arrive, they spot the black car crashed into the controls. This raises their suspicions. Mujin, however, makes it back to his base. His wounds are treated, but he appears lost in thought. Taeju confronts him, frustrated that Mujin has risked his life twice for Yoon Ji-woo. Mujin challenges Taeju in return, questioning what he has done to prove himself trustworthy. Pildo decides to place his trust in Yoon Ji-woo. While she undergoes surgery and recovers from her injuries, significant changes are made within the narcotics team. They are now authorized to carry firearms. At the same time, Taeju intensifies his search for Gangjae. He interrogates Cheol-ho, trying to uncover the truth. A tense game of cat and mouse begins. Both Mujin's men and the narcotics department are determined to capture Gangjae before the other. When Yoon Ji-woo wakes up, Pildo is there by her side. He talks about his little sister. In the past, her drink was spiked, which led to her death. This tragedy fuels Pildo's commitment to justice and his work in narcotics. He admits he doesn't know who was responsible, but he is determined to catch as many drug dealers as possible and bring them to justice. Pildo also knows about Yoon Ji-woo's past from her file. He becomes more resolute in his decision to support her and help her however he can. Yoon Ji-woo struggles with her inner conflict as she joins the other detectives for lunch. They offer her chamomile tea, the same drink she once gave Mujin to help with his insomnia. Along with the tea, they share a meal of warm food. creating a sense of camaraderie. However, this closeness catches the attention of Taiju, who observes them from a distance. He takes photos and sends them to Mujin, suggesting that Yoon Ji-woo might be compromised. Mujin, aware that Yoon Ji-woo is deeply undercover, becomes concerned for her safety. He decides to arrange a way out for her, commissioning a ticket that would allow her to leave the country. When Yoon Ji-woo learns about this that night, Mujin insists that she follow his instructions and leave to protect herself. Yoon Ji-woo refuses, choosing to stay despite the growing risks. Meanwhile, Captain Cha intensifies his investigation. He takes the drastic step of bugging Yoon Ji-woo's phone. He ensures that all her calls, both incoming and outgoing, are monitored from that point onward. At the station, Yoon Ji-woo encounters Sergeant Cho. He appears to recognize her and claims they met through the Violent Crimes Department. Yoon Ji-woo, however, remains doubtful of his story. Inside the office, Captain Cha and Sergeant Cho have a private conversation about Yoon Ji-woo. They discuss how she completely disappeared from the grid. Cho avoids revealing too much about the truth. Later, Yoon Ji-woo confronts Cho in private. This time he opens up and tells her that her father's murder was covered up by Captain Cha and wishes her luck. Yoon Ji-woo is left wondering whether he is telling the truth or playing another mind game. Meanwhile, the department issues a massive manhunt to locate Gangjae. Sergeant Cho, however, takes a different path. He goes to the docks to confront Mujin. He questions Mujin's motives and his involvement with Yoon Ji-woo. Cho accuses Mujin of being the devil. Mujin, who knows Cho is also a junkie, decides that his silence can no longer be trusted. Convinced that Cho has become a liability, Mujin eliminates him. He ties chains to his body and throws him into the water. Yoon Ji-woo returns to her base and informs Mujin about Gangjae's movements. She tells him that Gangjae plans to flee the country using a boat. Before carrying out his escape, Gangjae contacts Captain Cha. He decides to offer information in exchange for his safety. He proposes immunity to the police. In return, he promises to provide them with the evidence they need to capture Mujin. This development sets the stage for a dangerous confrontation. Yoon Ji-woo finds herself in a situation that could bring her significant trouble. Gangjae waits in his designated position. Eventually, Choi Mujin arrives there with his men. The narcotics department officers, led by Captain Cha, have them surrounded. Captain Cha instructs his team to hold their positions. He waits for most of Mujin's men to be injured or weakened. Once the opportunity arises, he gives the signal for his officers to move in and take action. Gangjae moves away from the crowd and leads Mujin to a quiet and isolated area high above the ground. Yoon Ji-woo, completely unaware of the sting operation taking place, arrives at the scene. She notices the commotion and rushes toward the location where Mujin and Gangjae are locked in a fierce fight. Pil-do is also nearby. He sees his partner charging directly into the chaos without hesitation. The scene escalates quickly. Gangjae gains the upper hand in the fight and stabs Mujin multiple times. He prepares for the final blow, but Yoon Ji-woo intervenes just in time. She raises her gun and stops Gangjae before he can finish the job. However, Yoon Ji-woo faces a critical decision. If Gangjae confesses the truth, her undercover identity will be exposed. Realizing the stakes, she fires her gun twice, hitting Gangjae. He collapses to the ground. Pil-do witnesses everything from a distance and is stunned by her actions. Meanwhile, Taiju arrives at the right moment and helps Mujin get away safely. Mujin survives the attack, but his condition is critical. Taiju takes him far from the reach of the police. He drops Mujin off at a hidden location, claiming it to be safe. Mujin's destination is a remote mountain temple. There, a monk tends to his wounds and helps him recover. Meanwhile, Yoon Ji-woo finds herself in deep trouble. After shooting Gangjae in cold blood, she becomes a focus of police scrutiny. Before she has to face the consequences of her actions, Pil-do visits her at home. He brings a drink and stays with her. He knows she shouldn't be left alone. Pil-do encourages her to relax and suggests she take up some hobbies to distract herself. Yoon Ji-woo gradually lets her guard down. She opens up about her past. She reveals how Gangjae once tried to assault her. Pil-do listens and begins to understand the pain that drives her actions. Believing she has finally fallen asleep, he leaves quietly that night. The next morning, Yoon Ji-woo finds a package waiting outside her door. It is from Gangjae, sent as his final act of defiance. Inside, she discovers a picture of the police force. Her father is in the image, standing at the center. She notices that her father's name is listed as Song Jun-soo. This discovery raises unsettling questions. Captain Cha had mentioned that her father died shortly after joining the narcotics team. Sergeant Cho was also killed, seemingly for knowing too much. Yoon Ji-woo begins to suspect that the police may be deeply involved in the events surrounding her father's death. Yoon Ji-woo becomes determined to uncover the truth about her father. She travels to the temple where Mujin is recovering. When she confronts him, Mujin admits that Dong-hoon was indeed a police officer. However, Dong-hoon eventually betrayed the force and changed sides. He saved Mujin's life, an act that set off a chain of events and altered everything. Mujin explains that he never revealed this to Yoon Ji-woo earlier. He wanted her to discover the truth on her own. He claims this was part of a lesson he had been teaching her all along. Mujin emphasizes that Dong-hoon devoted himself fully to the organization, both in life and in death. Now, Mujin questions whether Yoon Ji-woo will follow the same path. Mujin also reveals a shocking detail. He claims that Captain Cha killed Dong-hoon. According to Mujin, Cha could not handle the betrayal and chose to end Dong-hoon's life. At the same time, Pil-do remains determined to bring Mujin to justice. His loyalty to the team and Captain Cha drives him forward. On the other hand, Mujin begins to doubt Yoon Ji-woo's resolve to act against Cha, and to ensure his plans move forward, Mujin assigns Taiju the task of killing the police captain instead. Taiju carries out the task without hesitation. He breaks into Captain Cha's apartment that night and stabs him several times. Despite his injuries, Cha manages to fight back. He lands a few solid blows on Taiju before slipping away. Moments later, Yoon Ji-woo arrives at the apartment. She notices blood on the doorknob, but doesn't hesitate. Using her bare hands, she forces her way inside, determined to uncover the truth. Cha, weakened and barely standing, fires a shot at her. The bullet misses its mark completely. Cha realizes that the person standing before him is Yoon Ji-woo.
Tell me what you did to my dad 5 years ago today.
He then struggles to retrieve an envelope and hands it to her before collapsing. Pil-do arrives at the scene moments later. Just as he breaks into the apartment, Yoon Ji-woo escapes through the window. She makes her way back to her car, clutching the envelope tightly. The contents of the envelope reveal the truth about Dong-hoon. It turns out Yoon Ji-woo's father was working deep undercover. He had given Mujin a gold lighter as part of his cover. Unknown to Mujin at the time, the lighter contained a hidden tracker. Mujin discovers the truth in a moment of shocking clarity. While he uses the gold lighter to strike one of his subordinates, the hidden tracker falls out onto the floor. He stares at it, realizing the betrayal. Anger consumes him, and he immediately concludes that there is a mole in his organization. He digs further and uncovers more damning evidence. He finds a typewriter and several reports that Dong-hoon had sent back to headquarters. These documents confirm the painful truth. Dong-hoon was loyal to his role as a police officer until his final moments. Adding to this revelation, Cha possesses a final letter from Dong-hoon. The letter serves as his last message to Yoon Ji-woo, reinforcing his dedication to the police force. Yoon Ji-woo reads the letter and is left overwhelmed by the weight of her actions. Grief and guilt take hold, leaving her deeply shaken. Yoon Ji-woo struggles to cope up with it and makes a drastic decision. She takes a lighter and burns the organization's mark from her chest. Yoon Ji-woo waits anxiously in the hospital for news about the captain. He is in critical condition and has been in surgery for 4 hours. Pil-do updates her on the investigation. He reveals that blood and fingerprints were found at the scene. Mujin comes to a grim realization. He understands that Yoon Ji-woo has discovered the truth about her father. He decides she must be eliminated. Shortly after, Yoon Ji-woo is ambushed outside her apartment. A bag is forced over her head, and 3 men drag her to a water-filled tub with the intent to drown her. Despite the dire situation, Yoon Ji-woo fights back fiercely. She overpowers her attackers and takes control of the situation. As the chaos unfolds, Taiju arrives to confront her. He reveals a shocking truth. It wasn't Mujin who killed Dong-hoon.
It was you who killed my dad, right?
Oh, I wanted to be the one to kill him.
The fatal blow was actually delivered by Taiju himself. The fight between Yoon Ji-woo and Taiju intensifies. She refuses to back down and ultimately kills him, putting an end to the immediate threat. At the same time, Pil-do and the other officers receive a tip about the location of Mujin. The information points to the temple. However, before they can act, Mujin makes a bold move. He walks into the police station on his own. However, he is not there without purpose. He antagonizes Pil-do about Cha and declares that the officers are merely prey in a world ruled by predators like himself. His lawyer, Ms. Kang, walks calmly past the officers and joins Mujin during his interrogation. Yoon Ji-woo shows up and confronts Mujin, who confidently claims he will prove his innocence. She quickly counters his confidence. She states that the mole, which is herself, can no longer be used to his advantage. She also mentions the warrant the police are about to secure, which is expected to arrive in less than an hour. Mujin remains calm and insists he can prove he is not responsible for the crimes attributed to him. Mujin presents 2 pieces of evidence to support his claims. First, the knife allegedly used by him is removed from evidence. Second, the police review CCTV footage from the night of Captain Cha's death. It matches Yoon Ji-woo's car and description. It shifts suspicion away from Mujin. Amid this chaos, Yoon Ji-woo manages to leave the police station undetected. Pil-do watches in disbelief as she slips out. None of the other officers make any attempt to stop her, leaving him stunned by the situation. Yoon Ji-woo takes the knife with her. The lack of evidence forces them to release Moo-jin. At the same time, Moo-jin seems to view this as a test. He wants to see how far Yoon Ji-woo is willing to go to achieve her goals. Pil-do struggles with conflicting emotions. He recalls Yoon Ji-woo's moments of vulnerability, unsure of what to believe about her intentions. Meanwhile, Yoon Ji-woo takes the knife and drives to a deserted stretch of road. She stops near a body of water and throws the knife into it. Alone and resolute, she decides to confront Moo-jin on her own. At the same time, Moo-jin returns to Dongcheon Gym. There, he discovers Taeju's lifeless body, waiting for him. The sight of the corpse serves as a clear message. Yoon Ji-woo is preparing to face him directly. Afterward, Yoon Ji-woo visits her father's resting place to pay her respects. She stands silently, reflecting on her journey and the man she's fighting for. Just as she prepares to leave, Pil-do arrives. He has been following the clues, piecing together her movements. Earlier, he noticed the absence of an urn at her apartment. This detail led him to realize she was likely at the crematorium, saying goodbye to her father. Pil-do stops her and places her under arrest.
Let go! Shit! I considered her a colleague.
While Yoon Ji-woo sits in custody, Moo-jin instructs Kang to do everything possible to secure her release. He reveals his reasoning. He wants her to come for him. Kang begins working on the legal steps to get her out. Meanwhile, Pil-do confronts Yoon Ji-woo. He demands answers and insists she reveal her real name. Yoon Ji-woo sits behind bars, waiting for her next move. Ms. Kang visits her and delivers a message from Moo-jin. He assures her that he will ensure she does not end up in prison. Soon after, Yoon Ji-woo is transferred to a hospital. This transfer provides Moo-jin with the perfect opportunity to act and bring her under his control. While on duty, Pil-do receives an urgent call from Captain Cha. Cha has regained consciousness after being in a coma. Pil-do rushes to the hospital to see his boss. During their conversation, Cha reveals the truth about Yoon Ji-woo. He explains that she is Dong-hoon's daughter and was caught up in a dangerous undercover operation. Cha also uncovers the truth about Song. He explains that Song was an undercover agent working against Moo-jin. This revelation makes Pil-do realize that Yoon Ji-woo is not the enemy. Cha confirms that Taeju was responsible for stabbing him, and reveals that Moo-jin deceived Yoon Ji-woo to manipulate her. Meanwhile, Moo-jin's men infiltrate the hospital, aiming to capture Yoon Ji-woo. An undercover nurse steps in to help her escape. The nurse provides clear instructions for Yoon Ji-woo to get away. She also takes on 3 attackers alone, ensuring Yoon Ji-woo has a chance to flee. Yoon Ji-woo escapes the building wearing a hospital gown. She moves cautiously toward the parking lot, but Pil-do spots her. He quickly heads in her direction, determined to confront her before she disappears again. After learning the truth, Pil-do places his trust in Yoon Ji-woo. In an effort to prevent her from risking her life recklessly, he takes out his handcuffs and locks them together. This desperate move is his way of ensuring they stay united and avoid heading straight into danger. They soon find themselves in a high-speed chase. Moo-jin's men pursue them relentlessly, but Pil-do and Yoon Ji-woo work together to escape. After an intense pursuit, they finally lose the goons on an open stretch of road. Needing a place to hide, they drive to an abandoned beach resort. Pil-do explains that the resort belongs to a friend who rented it out long-term. Once there, Pil-do tends to Yoon Ji-woo's injuries. He carefully cleans the wound on her shoulder, showing care and understanding. This moment of kindness allows Yoon Ji-woo to let her guard down. Feeling a deep connection, she opens up to Pil-do. Their shared vulnerability leads to an unexpected turn as they passionately kiss and make love. Afterward, they resolve to stand united. They decide to honor her father's wish and commit to stopping Moo-jin at any cost. Meanwhile, Moo-jin becomes increasingly unstable. The weight of his unresolved issues with Dong-hoon and Jisoo consumes him. Paranoia takes hold as he believes everyone around him has betrayed him. An arrest warrant is issued against Moo-jin.
You must run away. They say they have a witness.
Based on information from an unnamed eyewitness, this pushes him further out of control. His frustration reaches a breaking point, and he forces Ms. Kang out of his inner circle. Moo-jin puts on a motorcycle helmet and rides out into the night. He stops at Yoon Ji-woo's car on the road and shoots Pil-do without hesitation. Pil-do's lifeless body collapses onto her lap. Blood streams from a gunshot wound on his head, staining her clothes. Yoon Ji-woo, overwhelmed with rage and grief, grabs his gun and runs into the street. Armed and resolute, Yoon Ji-woo storms into Moo-jin's club. Using a single handgun, she manages to fight her way through an overwhelming number of goons. Yoon Ji-woo fires 4 bullets as she clears a path through the room. She reloads her weapon and continues her advance. She then leaves a single bullet as she rides the elevator up to the penthouse. Yoon Ji-woo fights her way through an entire hallway of Moo-jin's guards. Yoon Ji-woo finally confronts Mujin face to face. Her gun is raised, and her jaw tightens as she listens to his taunts. He mocks her father, claiming he lacked the conviction to take decisive action. Mujin points out that he had several opportunities to kill her, but chose not to. Unlike Dong-hoon, Mujin sees Yoon Ji-woo as different. He almost seems eager at the thought of her being the one to end his life. Soon, the confrontation escalates into a brutal knife fight. Both fighters move with precision and desperation, each blow carrying years of pent-up anger and betrayal. Eventually, Yoon Ji-woo gains the upper hand. She plunges her knife into his throat. She watches with satisfaction as he slumps down against the wall, bleeding out. The sound of sirens grows louder, signaling the police are nearing the base. Yoon Ji-woo staggers away. Blood drips from her wounds, leaving a trail behind her. Time passes, and Yoon Ji-woo visits her father's grave to pay her respects. She places a picture of herself and Dong-hoon together on the gravestone. She reflects on everything that has brought her to this moment, from loss and betrayal to vengeance and resolution. Before leaving, Yoon Ji-woo also pays tribute to Pil-do. The memories of those she has lost weigh heavily on her, but she walks away with a sense of peace as her journey comes to an end.